dias. Hello. Thank you, Andres, and Mr. Governor, Mr. and Mrs. Salinas, and honored guests. Everyone having a good time so far? Fantastic. Bueno. I love being here, City of Ideas, with brilliant minds and very giving hearts. And especially this city, I love. We have speed reading and memory programs in over 90 countries, and I love this country. You know, this is actually the place where I was married, here in Playa del Carmen, and it feels like it's coming home. And so thank you. Also want to say hola to everybody watching at home also, and on video also as well. So thank you for that. How many people here, City of Ideas, want to be able to learn more ideas? More ideas, right? How many people here love to learn? How many people feel like there's too much to learn and not enough time, right? How many people here have books on your shelf you haven't read yet? Anybody get more than 5 emails today? Feel a little overloaded or overwhelmed? And it's challenging because the information in technology, information is going up like this. Technology is creating so much information, so much data that you need to learn and be able to remember and to read, but how we learn it is pretty much the same. See? Like how we read it, how we remember it, how we retain it. And so the challenge is we all grew up with this 20th century education that prepared us for a world that doesn't exist anymore. You know, they say that if Rip Van Winkle woke up today, the only thing he would recognize is the education system. And that's a challenge because the world has changed so much, over the past, couple of decades. And so they say that the chairman of Google says that the amount of information that's been created from the dawn of humanity to the year 2003, which is only 10 years ago, is now created every 2 days online. Do you feel it? Lots of stress, lots of anxiety. So what I want to do here is I want to be able to give you tools to be able to learn it better, kind of disrupt education a little bit, give you the tools that you need to be able to absorb lots of the wonderful ideas that you're going to learn at this incredible conference, and also maybe at the same time, remember, you're here not only just to get wonderful, critical content that's very dangerously disruptive and powerful, but also you're here to make great connections also. And so I want to give you a couple of tips on how to remember people that you meet here. How many people here would love to be able to be better at remembering people's names? Yes? And so I want to be able to give you some of those ideas also as well. How many people here like to have a better memory? How many people came here like to improve your memory 2 or 3 times? How many people forgot why you came here today? Have you ever done that? Have you ever walked into a room of your own home and then forgot why you're there? Anyone feel a little absent-minded? Like senior moments are coming a little bit early? Like you're taking a shower and you can't remember if you shampooed your hair and you end up doing it twice? Or you misplace things like your wallet or your purse or your cell phone. You call your own cell phone hoping you kept it on so you could find it. Or your car keys, or if not your car keys, something much larger like your car. You go out to the parking lot, people use their car alarms like a GPS trying to figure out where they parked the car. And then how about names? How many people honestly have trouble remembering people's names? Is it important, yes or no? A little bit or a lot? Well, let's start with my name. My name is Jim Kwik with Kwik Learning, and I help people learn quickly. The question I always get is about my last name. My last name really is Kwik, K-W-I-K. With a name like Kwik, my life and my destiny was pretty much planned out. I had to be a runner back in school, which is a lot of pressure when it says Kwik right on your back. I had to be careful when I'm driving because the worst name to have on your driver's license when you get pulled over for speeding is Kwik, because you're not going to talk your way out of that ticket. And I get to teach speed learning and speed reading and speed memory. And that's what I've had the opportunity to do for the past 2 decades. So what I want to do right now is I want to give you a number of tips really, really fast. In order to get the most out of it, I need you to be completely engaged. So stand up real quick. Now, Here's one of the keys to quicker learning, and just to kind of disrupt one of the dangerous ideas to get more out of your learning, is to use your body. Because as your body moves, your brain grooves. Literally moving your body more makes more connections in your brain. So just try this, for example. Just go like this. Move around a little bit. It's okay, if it's safe. Good. And breathe, too. Breathing is oxygen, very good for the brain. And do this. Bring your hands in like this, like towards you as you're breathing. Now try this, okay? Try doing one opposite, counterclockwise, one clockwise like this. You have to think about it, right? Look at your neighbor as you're doing it. Are they doing it correctly? And then reverse it. Now try this. Shake out your hands. Just move your wrists like this. We're on the computer all day. And now watch this. Try doing it one of them twice as fast, like this. So it's like this. You do that? Like this. Like ready? One. How about that? Can we do this? Tap your head, rub your belly. Okay, fantastic. Have a seat. So I want to give you 3 keys right now to improve your memory. These are 3 keys you're going to need to get the most out of these wonderful ideas. It's what your children need to be able to learn faster, and it's what you need to be able to remember people's names. And the 3 things I want you to remember, the letters MOM, M-O-M, MOM. This is the mother of all techniques. If you're ever forgetting something, if you're afraid of giving a speech because you're going to forget what you need to say, if you forget your PIN number or a password, you forget how to spell something or someone's name, usually one of these 3 things is missing. The M stands for, actually, let me tell you. Let's say you're bad with names. How many people are pretty bad with names? Let's say somebody has a suitcase here of 1,000,000 pesos if you just remember the name of the next person you meet. How many people are going to remember that person's name? What technique did you use? Nothing yet, right? But you used M, this is motivation. Motivation. So it had nothing to do with your ability. It had everything to do with your willingness to do it. What is your motivation? What is your motive for action? And whenever I want to learn something, I always ask myself, why do I want to learn this? Because reasons reap results. Reasons always come first. Because you need that emotion, the energy. Like I believe there's a success formula, I call it H cubed. It goes from your head to your heart to your hands. If you've ever learned something and didn't apply it, which we've all been guilty of it, and you didn't use your hands and actually act on it, usually what's missing is the heart, the emotion, the energy of motion. I have a martial arts instructor tell me that you can't steer a parked car. You need energy, you need fuel. So why do you want to remember the person's name? The O is this. Do this. Take your right hand and just shake it out. Make a fist. Put it to your chin. Now where's your chin? The O in MOM stands for observation. You need to pay attention because a lot of time you're learning, remembering people's names, you're learning out new ideas or new readings. A lot of times people blame their retention when it's more their attention, right? So be present. I remember when I first met President Clinton, and he's known for his charisma, his connection, his ability to communicate. What he's also known for is ability to remember people. He's got a fantastic memory. And I asked him, how do you remember people's names? What memory tricks do you use? And he doesn't use any memory tricks. I found out through talking to him, through conversations, that he's known for having this powerful presence, but I think his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present. Remembering someone's name, you're like there. You're not looking over someone's shoulder or you're talking to yourself. That's also a key to learning, is being present. And finally, the second M in MOM stands for mechanics. And these are the tips, the tools, the techniques to be able to read faster, to be able to remember names, to learn a foreign language, to be able to, normally on stage I would do this demonstration where I memorize 50 or 100 numbers, forwards or backwards, or random words. But all those are just strategies, and that's your mechanics. Like, for example, if you want to read faster, one of the quickest ways to be able to improve your reading speed, how many people here like to read 25, 50% faster right now? And part of it is you could actually use a visual pacer. Like those of us who use your finger while you read, or a highlighter or a pen or a pencil or a mouse on a computer, you could test it. Your reading ability, your speed will improve 25, 50%. Many of you will double your reading speed by using a visual pacer. I actually encourage people to try using their left hand while they do that. Now, finally, 4 keys to learning anything faster. And I want you to remember fast, fast. So while you're here and you're present, you're learning all these wonderful ideas of the city of ideas. 4 keys to learning faster. The F stands for forget, which is really weird, right? Because you don't, starting, how do you remember things? You just forget it. But it helps sometimes to forget what we know so we can learn new ideas, right? Deepak Chopra says that the average person has about 60,000 thoughts a day. 95% of those thoughts are the same thoughts they had yesterday. So new thoughts, you kind of forget what you know so you can build on it, but also forget about everything else going on. I think there's a myth to multitasking. Sometimes when we're here, we're not completely here. We're thinking about the bills, we're thinking about the children, we're thinking about work. And be present while you're here because it's time really well spent. The A in FAST stands for active. You want to be active because learning in the 21st century, here's a dangerous idea, learning is not a spectator sport. In 20th century education, you were just there and you were lectured to, and you had to sit quietly by yourselves and not talk to your neighbor. But in today's world, where it's fast-paced information is flying at you, you need to be engaged, right? So active. So you're here while you're at this conference and you're tweeting. You're taking notes, right? You're shouting the answers. Because how many people believe what you put in is what you get out, right? Because there's no magic pill, but there is a magic process. You want to be active in it. The S in FAST stands for state. State. Because all learning is state dependent. All learning is state dependent. State is just a fancy word for the mood of your mind and your body, right? Where are you in your mind and your body? That's where you are. So, get it in this curious state, this state of a 5 or 8-year-old that has lots of questions. They have this fascination still. Your physiology, like right now, sit in the way you'd be sitting if you were totally interested in what I was saying. Sit. Sit the way you'd be sitting if you're totally interested in this subject. Why do you even have to move, right? So that's your state. And finally, the T in FAST stands for teach. Teach. If you want to learn something unbelievably quickly, even your children to learn it more quickly, then teach it to other people. Because here's the thing, how many people realize that while you're sitting here, if you had to, as the speakers come on, give a presentation on what you just learned, how many of you would learn it a lot deeper? Right? Because when you teach something to other people, you get to learn it twice. I'm here because I was not a good learner. I always talk about superheroes and superpowers. That was not my power. When I was 5 years old, I had this horrible brain injury, this head trauma, and it left me feeling like I was broken because I couldn't read for a long time. I didn't understand what my teachers would talk to me about or my parents, and I was very slow to pick up things. My memory was completely, nothing stuck. It went in one ear and out the other, and my focus was everywhere. And then it got really bad when I got in college. I wanted to start fresh. I took these classes, and I couldn't keep up. And I would sacrifice my sleep, I wouldn't eat, and after months of doing that, your body gives out. And I ended up passing out in public, falling down a flight of stairs in the library, and I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. I was down to 117 pounds, thinking there has to be a better way. And I was thinking it's interesting that school would teach you what to learn. Math and history and science, great subjects. My mother is a teacher, my aunt's a professor, but they teach you what to learn, but not necessarily all the time how to learn it. And that's really the message that I have, is that you have genius inside of you. No matter your age, no matter your background, no matter your gender or your history, all of us have this amazing ability to tap this superpower. And then finally, when we're talking about T and teaching it, what got me on this path is one of my very first students over 20 years ago. She struggled with the speed reading, but ended up reading 30 books in 30 days. How many people would love to do that? 30 books in 30 days. And I find out, what's your motivation? How did she do it? Why did she do it? I find out that her mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and she was given 60 days to live. And the books she was reading were books on health and wellness and medicine and mindset and spirituality, because she was determined to save her mother's life. And I get a call from this young lady 6 months later. She has tears in her voice, and she says that her mother not only survived, they're tears of joy, but is really starting to thrive. Doctors don't know how or why, they call it a miracle, but her mother attributes it to all the great advice she learned from her daughter that learned them from all these great books. And that's where I really learned that these ideas, the ideas that you're learning here, could change lives. And that's what this is really all about. So thank you so much for having me. I wish your days be full of lots of life, lots of love, lots of laughter, and of course, lots of learning. Thank you.